Welcome to the Franchising 360 Show, the only show that takes you inside the world of franchising, with hosts Tim Parmeter and Danielle Wright.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in tonight to the Franchising 360 Show. I am Tim Parmeter. Alongside me, as always, is Danielle Wright.
That's me. Hi.
We are on the Franchising 360 Show going to take a 360-degree view of the franchising industry, all the things you need to know to determine if you should be a franchise owner, if so, which one, how to be successful once you are a franchise owner, and even how to turn your business into a franchise. And today we've got a guest kind of twofold, right?
Yes.
So been in the industry a long time, vice president of a big portfolio of brands, but also on the other side now. So I'm looking forward to this.
Brand new franchise owner.
I know.
All giddy.
I know.
It's like a fresh baby.
I can't wait to talk to her about all of these things. And we have, but let's be honest, like our guest is fantastic.
Yes.
What do people really look forward to on this show?
You?
No, I don't think there's
there
anybody
you
that
said,
does.
You said you.
No,
You said
I
no.
don't.
No is our favorite word with you on this
yes. So,
opening segment.
but we've got it is time for the franchise fun fact with Danielle.
Sponsored by?
Well, still no one.
Still no one. Okay, I've got a couple of fun facts. So I'm going to ask a question and then give you some more information in and around.
Oh, this is multiple
Yes.
choice, multiple questions.
I feel like because it's a heavy segment,
All right,
I'm super excited.
I'm going to take some notes.
Right. So, do you know the average age of a U.S. home?
No.
See, you in the nose. You're like coming with them.
Well, you asked, do I know? I have no idea. I'm going to say it is 29 years.
No, not 29. 40 years.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So, in honor of our guest and the average age of a home being 40 years old, the DIY craze has softened and opened itself up to what craze now? Think of an acronym.
Well, DIY,
Do it
you
yourself.
do it for me.
There you go. That's it. You got one right. Yay, and you didn't cheat.
No, and I love the you do it for me. I'm all about that craze.
Yeah, because so in honor of our guest, Home
Yes.
Services. And then the last key point, kind of feeding into our 40-year-old homes, that 60% of home service franchise owners have no prior industry experience in home service.
I'm stunned it's that low. That I feel like that should be higher. So, but experience maybe in some ways not as a doer, but just something
like
in the
I
home service
envision,
space.
are you gonna know how to install grout? Do you even know what grout is? It's the thing that
it's
holds
the
tile.
character from the one. No, that was Groot. Never mind. No, I don't. Got
Okay,
no clue.
there you are.
So,
So here we are. Those are our fun facts for Friday.
I love fun facts. I love me some home service.
I know you do.
We both
We
love.
still, it's still not an industry we've owned.
We both love our guest that is joining us.
Yes.
So we will be right back after this message here on the Franchising 360 Show. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 Show. Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright. And joining us now is the Vice President of Franchise Development for Threshold Brands, the one, the only, Kelli Schroeder. Kelli, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
We are excited to talk to you, and I hope you're ready. We got a bunch of questions to ask you. And within the next 20 minutes, our goal is to make you break down into tears at some point. So are you ready?
Hey, it's challenge accepted.
Okay, let's go. So, simple question for you to begin with. You've been in franchising a while. You know this is a people business. Give us a little the Kelli scoop.
Yeah, so I entered franchising almost 16 years ago, and as a lot of us, we kind of arrived by accident. So one of my first bosses at Chili's Grill and Bar took a chance on me on the international side of the business to do a franchise manager role. And my background, I had my MBA, international MBA, and was working in PR and sales and didn't know anything about an FDD, but he said, you know what, I really like your background, let's give it a shot. So I'm really grateful to him, Chris Bremer. He's now the Chief Development Officer over at Smoothie King. But so I started my career with that, and then I went into a water company in Africa, lived in Uganda, and scaled a multi-unit franchise concept there. And then Wingstop International, overseeing the development there. And then I had my own consulting gig for a couple years to help businesses scale through the franchise model. Came back to do co-working, a new franchise concept there. Then moved on to beauty and wellness, because why not? So Wellbiz Brands, which has Dry Bar, Elements Massage, some other brands. And then arrived at home services. So I've been working for Threshold Brands for about a year and a half now and really loving it.
So I'm hungry now because you said Chili's and Wingstop. So there is that. And then now home service, so you've kind of had a full run of things. Give us a little just overview, like you mentioned Threshold Brands. Maybe people don't know exactly what that is. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so Threshold Brands is a portfolio company of home services. So we have 10 unique brands in our portfolio that are franchises to do anything around the house, inside, outside, and around the house to improve the house and to protect the home.
Can you name all 10?
Yes, let's go. Put me in the gauntlet here. So
Go.
we've got the Paramedics brands, which is heating and air paramedics, plumbing paramedics. Then we have Pestmaster, Pest Control, and USA Insulation. We have Men in Kilts, window cleaning, Sir Grout, which is grout and stone restoration, Granite Garage Floors, which is epoxy floors, Maid Pro, which is a house cleaning service, Mold Medics, mold remediation, and Miracle Method, which is a surface refinishing business.
See, I literally wrote them down to make sure I would check, and it's ironic the one you said last. We may come back to Miracle Method at some point. What do you think, Dee?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, everybody that's in franchising, it eventually at some point teeters on lines there. So we'll talk about in the next one. So far this year, granted we're 3 months in, what seems to be the top brand at Threshold that's getting a lot of traction for you guys?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of growth for the Pestmaster brand, as well as the heating and air paramedics and mold medics. So those businesses that are recession resistant or a need to have, right? Your HVAC breaks, your toilet breaks, that's not a nice to have. You're calling the next person to get there ASAP. Mold remediation is another business that's truly a niche, but really impacts our health and well-being in the home. And I think the stats, like over 70% of all homes in America have some degree of mold hiding behind the walls. And so when you talk about air quality and quality of life, and folks having health issues, a lot of times they don't realize that the culprit is literally in the four walls of their home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Maybe-
we're seeing a lot of growth from those
Maybe
brands.
that's why we've been sick.
Let's not go there.
Kelly, of all 10, which is one that people are like, wait, what's that? And then really surprised by kind of when they learn more about the opportunity.
Yeah, great question. So I would say Miracle Method, and the reason is because it is a surface refinishing company. When you go to Google franchise opportunities, that's not what you're Googling, right? But what I love about this brand is its strong commercial accounts. But let me tell you what the business is first. So say you've got that bathrooms from the 80s and you've got the pink tub and the pink vanity and you want to rip all of that out and start over. You're probably going to spend 25, 30 grand doing it, depending on how bougie you want the redesign to be. Instead of that, we actually come in and we refinish. So we don't replace. We actually have a proprietary coating and bonding agent that actually goes right on top of your existing tub and vanity, and with a 5-year warranty, and you can pick the colors, and you pretty much are going to spend 1/6 of what it would cost you to rip out the bathroom. So think of applications as well in kitchens, on floors. The brand also has a cabinet refacing and refinishing. So same for the kitchen. Instead of ripping out the kitchen cabinets, we're able to come in and customers can pick the front of the cabinet door, the color that they want to have them painted, the knobs, etc. And we use the bones and infrastructure that's there, but we give it an upgrade or a facelift. So those are the applications residentially, but the big business is commercial. So about 65% of the revenue of this business model comes from commercial work. And we're really proud of our national accounts at Miracle Method. We are a partner of Lowe's. We're in hundreds of stores. One of our clients is Extended Stay America, hotels, apartment complexes. We do airports, universities, hospitals, you name it. So there's really, really big business here, and something that, I've even chose to invest in myself.
Yeah, you're not getting away without talking about that. But I'm like, as long as we've been in franchising, I'm still amazed. That's a brand I honestly didn't know a ton about, and now hearing that and going, oh my gosh, I wish I did.
So it begs the question, right? So Threshold has all of these brands. They are home service businesses. I've read up on how most people that get into those franchises don't really actually have any expertise in that background. So if someone's watching this show and like, hey, that's intriguing for me, what are you looking for in an owner to come and run one of these Threshold opportunities in the home service category?
Yeah, so we want folks that are really wanting to go all in on the business and learning the business, especially within the first year. And obviously, there's different technicalities in our portfolio, right? HVAC and plumbing, you need to be credentialed. Mold remediation is another one. But then, there's businesses like Miracle Method or Granite Garage Floors that you're not required to go through state certification. And so it's going to be easier from a plug and play standpoint. But each business model has its complexity with the operations. And so we're looking for folks that, yeah, if they want to keep their 9-to-5 job, they can, but they won't be a candidate for all of our business models. But we want to see them really jump in and to learn the system and go through the training and spray the tubs or spray around the house with the pesticide, and to be engaged and involved in their business. They also need to have working capital. I've seen firsthand, once you get into a business, things happen that are unplanned, and you need to be fiscally strong to weather those storms. So we really look for people that have at least 150,000 liquidity, regardless of what business model they're looking to invest in at Threshold Brands. And then the last thing I would say is we want them to be the mayor of their local community and genuinely care about their community. With franchising, you're creating jobs, you're putting dollars back in circulating in the local economy, and you're changing lives because you're giving jobs to people that otherwise maybe hadn't had them, and you give them growth opportunity. And so really taking care of the community and seeing how your business as the franchise is part of that much larger ecosystem.
Love it. And I think I've heard this recently, franchising is local, apparently. So, Kelli, thanks for all that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Kelli Schroeder from Threshold Brands here on the Franchising 360 Show. Hey, we're back on the Franchising 360 Show. Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright. And joining us is the Vice President of Franchise Development for Threshold Brands, Kelli Schroeder. Kelli, Threshold has 10 different brands, all within that home service. I think one of the kind of the hidden things when people think about franchise ownership is owning multiple units of the same franchise. Talk about another way that you're seeing some owners within Threshold scale besides just the multiple units.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of our franchisees, we're seeing that they've already built out their market. They own their market. The business is healthy, and they realize they have all this infrastructure and capacity to continue to grow, but they can't grow incrementally with the existing brand. And so where we come in and the benefit of being a part of a portfolio company is that they can look at 9 other options potentially in their market if it's available. So an example of that is we have a franchisee that owns a USA insulation company. He has multiple locations. And just within the last year, he's invested in mold medics. And you see those synergy there because you go into someone's, attic or crawl space, or you look at things for insulation and you may find mold. But then you got to send, you got to halt the project and send, another company in to remediate that mold. Well, now that franchisee is able to capture the customer with 2 different business models, all under the same roof. And so there's a power in that ability to cross-sell among our franchise network, and then our franchisees to diversify through multi-unit, multi-brand growth, or what we like to call brand stacking.
It's one of my favorite things about home service because it's not just, right? It's not just the ability to add more revenue or you have access to a home and think about how many projects can go on into that. But now you keep your crews busy because I think the biggest concern people have when they're looking at franchises, tell me where you think or sit with this is, hey, I've got to hire these people, but what if I can't keep them busy all the time? So this kind of taps into, I'm not going to have a resource not going unused. Is that something that people bring up in the discovery process of looking at the brands?
Yes, absolutely. The question around labor always comes up. The concern, obviously, just to be able to find the right talent and retain them. And again, a lot of home service businesses, there's seasonality, absolutely. And you see the ebbs and flows of it being very, very busy and then being very slow. So, with having multiple brands, you can repurpose them and cross train them to work in both parts of the business. I, think for some of our businesses, we want them to be dedicated 100%. But for those businesses that don't require the strict licensing by state, there's an opportunity for them to stack and to cross train and use staff accordingly.
Now, I'm sorry, like one last question, just because I'm thinking, okay, who's watching this, right? Like, what do they need to know? What is it that Threshold does for a new owner or potential owner? You had said municipalities and cities and regulations. Do you guys really help them dive deep into what is it that I need to actually be able to operate this? Like, do you help them kind of jump the hurdles, per se, to get into some of these unique business models when it comes to legalities?
Great question. So we had that conversation early on in the discovery process. And we say, listen, we don't know all the specifics to your state, but we'll be able to give you guidance with our legal counsel to put you in the right direction. But this is going to take some time, right? Licensing takes time. So if you wanted to open yesterday, you just got to be mindful that you need to parallel path and investigate what is required to get credentialed to be able to open this business. So our legal counsel will do that preliminary research so that we can kind of guide them to go down, but then they need to walk the steps or the path to get those credentials. What's also helped us a lot is referring them to an existing franchisee that already works in that state. They've been there, they've done that, they know the regulation, what not to do. And so we always try to connect them with folks that have already walked in their shoes and are open and operating in the state.
Awesome. Because there's not much the franchise won't help you with, right? Completely doing for you, then they don't really need you.
Kind of negates the whole independent business ownership thing.
But now we talk about kind of stacking in your owners within Threshold. They've got one brand, they've got the market, now they've got the second one. They kind of refer back and forth to themselves, share some labor. You have been in franchising a long time, worked with a lot of different brands. You are now kind of a stacker of your own, right? And so talk about your journey into now also becoming a franchise owner.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I never thought that I would say, hey, I'm going to own a home services concept. But about 2 years ago, I really started looking at what, if you follow Cody Sanchez and Main Street Millionaire and these businesses on Main Street, which are blue collar and the trades, and how important they are and how much, private equity is gobbling up HVAC companies and different companies within the franchising space. And that there's a true business to be made in home services and in blue collar that can't be replaced by AI. You need actually a person there to do the work and have the human connection in the home. And so started looking at a handful of franchises and really had the opportunity at Threshold Brands, building a relationship with one of our master franchisees at Miracle Method, Eddie Narrow. He's kind of the godfather of the brand. He's been in the business for 40 years across more than 10 states. And he really took, a shine to myself and my business partner to, explore the opportunity of buying some of his existing locations. And so after some due diligence and looking at the market, we decided to move forward with purchasing Dallas Fort Worth Miracle Method. So we've got 3 locations purchased with the management team in place. And we see that there's so much upside to this business, and there's a lot of value that has yet to be untapped. And so we're just getting started. And it's been about, 7 weeks. So I'm drinking from a fire hose, but I have a whole other appreciation for our franchisees and this Miracle Method brand, and just being an owner and walking in those shoes.
I think the best thing, Dee, when we talked about that and talked about her being a franchise owner, did you see how big her smile got right there? Like that was pretty cool.
Because I think so for our viewers, Kelli and I are part of a mastermind group where there are about 8 to 9 of us that meet on a monthly basis, and it's kind of the same thing we were talking on previous episodes. Like the point of joining a franchise is you're not doing it you're not doing it by yourself. You're doing it with others, right? And so Kelli and I have some history here, but it was a big thing for her to consider business ownership. And what I love about this conversation is we're not just in the industry to help you find the right fit for yourself and an owner, but now we kind of get to walk that same path. And here's what I looked at, and here's what I know, and share our experience. And that helps other people just kind of decide whether or not it's the right fit. Because now you kind of got the boots on the ground, like this is what it really takes. And even more so, a thing that I don't know that we have time to talk about is you're still keeping your full-time job. You're a mom, you're a wife, you've got a full-time employment. Like it is possible to own a business and do all things.
All of the things.
Sheep power.
Right. So all of those things that Dee just talked about with you, Kelli, and just in the last like few seconds here we have. You've been in franchise, you've been all different sides of franchising, including now as a franchise owner. Somebody watching this going, geez, is this for me or not? What's maybe a piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, good ending. Good job, Tim.
I would encourage them to have an open mind and don't gravitate towards things that you feel like are comfortable. You need to explore things that are outside of the box and really look at it with a business mindset. What is recurring revenue? What is not going to be replaced by AI? What can I see that solves a problem and I can get excited about? And really don't kid yourself. Like just because you know of franchises in food of McDonald's or Orange Theory of fitness, like there's so many different categories of franchising. You can franchise anything. Garage door service. I mean, gosh, there's just a ton. So I would encourage you to have an open mind, because if I would have told you 10 years ago, like that I'd be sitting here owning a home services franchise, a blue collar franchise, I would be like, no way. But it's actually a very sexy business with very sexy returns. So I'm here for that all day long.
I love it. Well, and we are always here for you to be on our show. So come back anytime, Kelli. Thank you so much. Kelli Schroeder from Threshold Brands joining us on the Franchising 360 show. Thanks, Kelli.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks again for watching the Franchising 360 show, brought to you by Fran Coach. Danielle and I hope these episodes continue to educate you on the franchise industry. In between our episodes, if you would like to learn more about franchising and the ways in which Fran Coach can help, there are a few places you should check out. First, be sure to listen to the award-winning Franchising 101 podcast. You can find this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Next, check out the Fran Coach YouTube channel, Fran Coach for You. You can catch past episodes of the Franchising 360 show, plus tons of other content. If you like to read, we encourage you to check out the book, Becoming a Franchise Owner. And finally, when you are ready to take that first personalized step and explore franchise industry further, please reach out to our amazing team at Fran Coach. There is never any fee for our service, so let us help you create your better tomorrow. Until next week, for Danielle Wright, I'm Tim Parmeter. Thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 show.